Hey there, welcome to My Green Pets. I'm William Green. Tomorrow I am taking off for a 3-week trip to Europe. Spain and Poland are my destinations. And I have to prepare this collection to survive for 3 weeks without me. So last week's video was coming back from a week away. We could see that a lot of the plants were dry, but overall, no real major problems. So I have increased the automatic watering system to run for 3 minutes in the morning at about 5:40 in the morning, and that's before it starts getting light in here. And then it has the whole day and the following night to dry out before kicking on again the next morning. So we'll just kind of look around right now. I went ahead and had it go on this morning just to see, and it looks like most of the leaves of the plants are dry, and it's currently 3:45 p.m. So not even 12 hours after the sprayer turned off. Everything's pretty dry. There's still a little bit of water on some plants, and other plants do tend to hold water. They have a leaf maybe that's kind of spoon shaped, or it's just kind of leaning out and it's got water in it, like this Dowiana back here. You can see it's kind of holding water right there. But overall, everything looks like it's going to dry out no problem before the next watering cycle happens tomorrow morning. So that's good. And 17 days, and then this is the reservoir, so it's 5 gallons or about 20 liters of water, and one 3-minute cycle just decreases the water level very little. So I'm pretty sure, I feel fairly confident it's gonna be enough for the whole time. And then of course I have to check my electricals and make sure everything's dry and not exposed to water in here. And then tomorrow morning before I leave, I'm just going to give everything a really good watering. Plants that absolutely cannot dry out will have a little dish. You can see this one's already got a dish underneath the pot, and I will put about, I don't know, maybe 3 centimeters of water in the bottom of that and let it drink from that for the 3 weeks. And even after the reservoir is depleted, it will still stay moist for probably a good 5 or 6 days after all the water's been sucked up. So that should be fine. Plants that get special attention during this preparation process, of course, are going to be my very valuable Nepenthes seedlings. They will be sitting in little cups of water like this. Whoops, like this. I'm just gonna pop it in there and put some water in the bottom and make sure that that absolutely does not dry out. Typically these plants they do not like to be sitting in water, but the other, the alternative is drying out, which is absolutely not acceptable either. So we're gonna err on the side of wetness. And then the 3 minutes every day of water will help a little bit. I mean, not a whole lot of that mist is going to get into that pot and water that plant that much, but it will help a little bit. And the increased humidity every morning from the sprayers will also decrease the amount of evaporation and that kind of stuff. So anything that cannot dry out, we'll get a little cup of water underneath it. So for example, my new Masdevallia that I just got last month, this has been an interesting experiment. So I had repotted it in sphagnum, and I watered it really good before I left on my trip to visit my family a couple weeks ago. And I have not watered this plant in over 2 weeks, and the sphagnum is still moist. So sphagnum, it's kind of tightly packed in there, and it really holds on to moisture. So I still probably will put a little cup of water in underneath this, so it's got some water to draw from, but I I don't think this thing's gonna dry out in 3 weeks. I really don't. I'm gonna give it a good drenching tomorrow, even though it's still pretty damp. Again, normally I would let it get almost dry before watering again, but in this case we're gonna have to go a little too wet. Kind of make sure it just does not dry out. And by the way, let's look at the little bud on this guy. Starting to see the color coming out here. Really, really excited to see that. And hopefully that flower will be wide open and greeting me when I come back in 3 weeks. And last week I also mentioned that this plant is very similar to, structurally very similar to my Bulbo echinolabium, even though two completely separate genera from opposite ends of the world. But as Michael mentioned on my video last week, it's an example of convergent evolution. So you've got two plants that have very similar shapes and structures because they are both pollinated by flies. And I just think that's cool, having examples of that in my collection. Oh, hell, just dropped a flower. This is last week's flower. They just kind of fall off. Kind of creepy looking. Oh, Vanda falcata is almost completely open. This first spike looks so nice. And I don't know if this will last 3 weeks, but it's good that I get to see it a little bit before I take off. And then it does have a couple smaller spikes back here that hopefully I will get to see when I get back. And smell, of course, the fragrance is what these guys are all about. And I just also wanted to draw some attention to my Peruflora rexes. They really have started to step up. So we're really seeing some big new leaves and growths and root growth. Look at the new growth on this guy down here. This is going to be my Inti of the new bunch. This is the biggest by far and really robust grower. Just getting lots of exciting growth on these guys. Look at this one here. Look at this one. This one back here. New, big, thick new roots. Really excited. So, you know, considering I started out with something like 60 to 100 of these little seedlings, and I sold off a lot of them. And I don't know what any of them are. They were from a pack of 5 different varieties, but it's just like a grab bag. Who knows, right? So I don't know what any of them are going to look like. The only thing I know, and fingers crossed, I know this is going to depend on Peruflora's packaging, but hopefully they are all Cattleya rex varieties, and that's going to be super exciting because they're starting to move closer. You know, I think we could be maybe 2 to 3 years from our first bloom, maybe on some of the biggest ones. So that's really exciting. That's really exciting. And yeah, I think that's it. I'm just gonna have the tent zipped up. I'll leave a little bit of space unzipped out down here for a little bit of airflow to come through. And I'll be checking on my sensor push every day just to see, you know, what the humidity and temperature levels are doing. And if anything really weird happens, like it flat lines, or just I can tell it's not kicking on or something like that, then I'll have to call somebody to come over and check it out. Who that's gonna be, I don't know. I have a few people in mind, but they don't know yet, so we'll see. But yeah, something that's really exciting is Cattleya rex, Nina and Unu. These two, we've got buds in all 3 of these sheaths, and they look like they're all going to push out at the same time, which means if this plant has 3, and honestly, when I look at them, when I put the light behind them, it looks like there might be more than 4 blooms on some, at least one of those spikes. I mean, they look serious. So that's really got me excited, but I've also got kind of a moral conundrum here. I think I've been very transparent about the fact that these are 2 plants. They were originally fixed to a to amount, and they just kind of grown together over the few years. But even though that is the case, there is a chance that all three of these sheaths are on the same plant. And so basically what I'm telling you is that if this thing is in full bloom when July judging comes, I'm taking it. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to tell the judges. I might not say anything. I might just say this is a Callia Rex plant, judge away. And I just want to see what happens. So interested to hear your thoughts on that. I'm expecting that some people might tell me that's dishonest. You shouldn't do that. You should tell them it's two plants. But I don't know. We're just going to see. We will see. So, looking forward to Bulbophyllum. Lovely Elizabeth. But oh wait, it's probably going to bloom while I'm gone. That's what happened last year too. Oh well. The Cycnoches are really getting huge, just taller and taller and taller. And they're only, what is this, June? So they still have like 2 months, at least 1 full month of growth left. And they just keep getting taller and taller and taller. Oh my gosh, they're going to be enormous. That's exciting though. It turns out that one of my Cloecia Rebecca Northern's growths did end up rotting out. This one down here. I noticed that the newest leaf was black, and I kind of tugged on it and just pulled right out. So this one, the crown is rotted out, and I'm hoping that these two will not. And it's because water gets in there from the misting system. And for some reason, it's only this plant. The other ones seem to be fine. These guys get water in them, and it's okay. They keep growing. But for some reason, this Rebecca Northern cannot handle water in its growths. So what that meant last year was that once the growth rotted out, it put out new growths. So it's going to be seriously delayed. It's going to be way behind. But ultimately, it's not a terrible thing to have more growths. So yeah, I think that's just about it. We're at 12 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here. I will see you guys. Well, actually, you know what? I might post some videos from Europe. Just like I'm going to go to the botanical garden in Madrid, and if I just see any like plant related cool stuff, I might put that up on YouTube or on Instagram just for fun. But I think I will not completely forget about my collection back home, and I might be a little worried about it, but I think it should be okay. Should weather will probably appreciate me not fussing over it for 3 weeks. And if it does dry a little bit, it's okay. Too dry in general, I feel like, is way better than too wet for orchids. So, all right, that's all. Until our next update, hope you have a great weekend, and we will see you next time right here on My Green Pets. I'm William Green. Bye.